We don't do like the dedicated start.
3, 2, 1
stop.
action.
Yeah.
We're not like, hey, welcome to the show.
Right.
We don't do that. Although now that I did that, Dave will put that at the beginning of the show.
I'm an evil editor. But it's cool that you got your son here doing the show with us. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Definitely.
So what is that you just are putting away? You have a thing in your hand that we all saw.
In my pocket. This is my Boba Fett.
Put your Lego separator in your pocket.
Yes.
And I just learned what a Lego separator is.
Here, sit up nice and straight.
It takes Legos that are put together.
And takes them apart.
Separates them.
Yes.
So you have this. You just made this yesterday. It's a Boba Fett.
Yeah. And it has like 650 pieces, something like that. And I built it in an hour, so kind of.
You put 650 pieces together in an hour?
Yes.
I don't think I could put 650 random pieces together in an hour. Well, welcome to the show. What do you think of me and your dad's podcast? Have you watched any of the episodes?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you like it?
Yes.
How can we improve it?
I don't know.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Right now, as it is. I love it.
Maybe more Bible to entertainment ratio.
So more Bible, less entertainment.
I don't know.
Okay. That's what.
What's your favorite part of the show?
Listening to you guys talk about random stuff.
So you like the entertainment rather than
Yes.
the Bible necessarily. Okay.
Necessarily.
Okay.
So you like the entertainment part the best, but your advice is to put more Bible in it.
Yes. Or just make it longer.
He's trying to
Make it longer.
Oh, make it longer.
I just need all the screen time I can get.
Oh, the life of someone whose screen time is regulated. I need my screen time regulated, I think, because I get the alerts from my phone saying how much I was on my screen for the day.
Yeah.
You've been on your screen 36 hours of the day.
So, yeah, it's shocking. I have never had more.
Which is possibly true, because if you have two screens, you might be going at it.
I'll be honest, I've never had more than 24. So
that's cool.
To me, I am exercising some discipline, but not as much as I could. If I had a father that would regulate my screen time, then... But I have had, when the show is good, then you do kind of want it to keep going. Because it's like, oh, shoot, 30 minutes is over really quick.
Yeah, but
we can't do much longer.
We can't do much longer. And you want to leave them wanting more.
Yeah, that's right.
Or else they'll watch the one. And they'll be like, man, I'm totally satisfied. I never want to watch this show again.
It was so good, I'm never going to watch it ever
I couldn't watch another one because it would be too perfect.
So what grade are you in?
7th.
7th?
Yes.
Do you like it? Are you going to school or you're at home mostly now, aren't you?
That's way better than going to school, but
So you prefer the
like
social distancing, not actually taking the bus and going?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite class?
Probably band.
Band? What do you like about band?
I don't know. It's just entertaining.
Yeah? Is
The
your
band
teacher pretty
nice. Yeah.
good? Okay. What does she do that is fun?
Now that we're virtual, all we do is like raffles and we make memes about band and have competitions. I've won like 6 of them.
So there's a meme competition. It has to be a band-related meme. And so all of the students are allowed to submit how many?
As many as they can, but Google Classroom only allows 20.
Okay, so they can submit as many memes as they want, but Google Classroom only allows 20. So how many did you submit?
20.
20.
Wow.
And then what happens is they have like
We have a
tier
bracket
system. And so they have the memes compete against each other, and it gets down to the final.
Okay.
And I think there was like 5 in the final.
There's 5 in the final, and 3 of them were mine.
Was that for... Okay, 3 of them were Stevie's.
And you do you know who did it? So is it a popularity thing, or is
No,
it just
no.
for the meme? Like the
At
memes,
the
you don't-
very end, she told us who made each of them.
Wow.
But we had it was a blind competition.
So, and then you had 5 in the final. How does 5 compete? Because it seems like you'd have a
So
bracket of...
there's like 40 kids, and everyone votes for one meme, and then the one meme that gets the most votes wins.
Okay. And what was the ranking of the final 5? What was the...
I think mine were the top 3, and then there was 2 others.
So you got first, second, and third?
Yes.
That's awesome.
If you're going to race to win.
That's right. Well, the funny thing about your favorite class being band, and then what band actually looks like is meme making. I would have liked band too. I didn't like band so much because we had to play instruments. And you had to be
It's
able
still
to,
fun.
You had to be able to read the music, which I never learned how to do. I had a trombone, which was one of the louder instruments, and I would fake it.
Got like 6 trombones upstairs.
You have 6 trombones
No,
upstairs?
we have like 3. I was exaggerating it.
Okay.
How many do we really have?
2.
Dave has jumped in the ocean at least 3 times, fresh in the morning.
Exactly. Well, I did it twice.
But how many really did you do?
I did it the one time.
Yeah.
Stevie, you and I are a lot alike.
Yes.
So what do you play?
Trumpet.
So he plays trumpet. He has trombones.
Okay.
So I mean, but I get
And
to
one
hear
of
all
them are
them.
plastic.
Yeah, he has a plastic trombone. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it makes a plastic trombone.
Yeah.
Plastic trombone.
Does it
It's a
sound-
full-blown
Does
trombone.
it sound right, or does it sound like a kazoo?
It sounds right.
It sounds like a regular...
I can
Yeah.
make it sound like a kazoo.
You should make it sound like a kazoo.
If you could make it sound like a kazoo, you should make it sound like a
Just put a
kazoo.
bunch of tissue on the end or something and hum into it.
Who has the unicorn shirt? I think it's Daisy. It says, always be yourself.
Yep.
Unless you can be a unicorn, then always be a
Then
unicorn.
always be a unicorn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those shirts.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of those shirts.
Are there a lot of those shirts? I've only seen my daughter's, but I think
There's
it's
like,
funny.
always be yourself. Unless you can be Batman, then always be Batman.
Gotcha.
Clever.
So it's a meme of itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very good. So what was your winning meme?
It was
Put it into the microphone. Like, eat it. Like, put it right up here. Exactly. What was the winning meme?
I think the winning meme was a train coming and a bus is crossing the tracks, and there's 2 flutes in our class and 17 trumpets. So the bus is crossing the tracks and the train hits it.
Uh-huh.
So it's 2 flutes and then
The
17
trumpets running over
trombones.
the flutes. That's
Yes.
brilliant. That's a
It's-
clever meme.
There you go.
It makes sense to me that you would go towards humor. Your favorite part of school would be humor and writing, because your dad actually sent me one of your essays that you did for school.
Yes.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Banana or Mr. Nobody?
Banana.
Yes.
And I've got the banana thing. You guys care if I read it?
No, go for it.
You were preparing for this.
So I didn't actually prepare for it or even plan, but I remembered it and I thought I'd show my parents, and then we read it, and so I was looking for it, and Steve reminded me, and I thought it was worth reading. So to set this up, you were tasked in school with basically writing an essay where you're giving instructions, clear-cut instructions to do, like, how to make a sandwich.
No, we were just told to make an essay.
Oh, okay. And you chose to do it like almost like a directions, like how to make a sandwich. First you get the bread, then you get the peanut butter, put the peanut butter on one side, like a step-by-step process.
Yes.
So you wrote your essay where you're explaining how to eat a banana. This is from Stevie Liggett. The banana, like most other things, is a food. Food has been in our lives for generations, And the banana is a food that many people eat. I know for a fact that you've had one. The banana is a fruit from a bush, not from a tree. The banana is a very famous fruit and has starred in various movies such as Despicable Me 1, Despicable Me 2, and Despicable Me 3, etc. Because of this fame, I will explain how to eat a banana. That's an excellent setup on giving us the purpose on why we need to know this.
Yes.
First, go to a grocery store and buy the most perfect banana. Bananas are found in the aisle where the bananas are located. Take the banana home. Very gently take your new banana and cut it in half. Take your cut banana and pick out 7 seeds. Plant the banana seeds in your yard, not your neighbor's yard, your yard. Wait until the banana plant has fully grown and the fruit is ripe and ready for picking. Then choose the perfect banana for eating.
So the previous banana was for planting.
The only way you can get the banana is if you grow your own.
Yeah.
With your banana on the table, extend your left arm towards the banana. Open your left hand, reach out, and grab the banana. With your right hand, take your index finger and thumb and grab the stalk of your banana and yank violently towards the ground. With your right hand, remove the exposed banana from its outer shell and slowly bring it to your mouth so that you don't shove it up your nose or poke yourself in the eye. Bite a piece off of your banana and allow the flavor of the banana to flow through your mouth. And then spit it out because bananas don't taste good. That's brilliant.
Yes.
That is a funny, funny essay, man. In my life, I've never written anything that funny. I wish I had. When I was a kid, I did one. I wrote how to drown a cat. And my teacher thought it was funny because she knew me, and she was like, Dave fancies himself a comedian. He's always trying to be funny. And she told my parents at the parent-teacher meeting, but it was kind of like harmless. Like the teacher was like, your son, he's such a character. You know,
He wrote this
Yeah.
story about how
Our
to drown
task-
a cat.
But I didn't just pick that up. It was like our task was to do instructions. How to make a sandwich was the example. So it didn't matter what the task was. You had to write step-by-step instructions. And I wrote step-by-step instructions. Fill up the tub. But my teacher knew that I wasn't a sick kid. And I never hurt an animal in my life. But nowadays...
I would definitely hurt an animal.
No. No, nowadays...
You'd get in trouble for even
nowadays,
thinking about saying
right,
something like
the
that.
The teacher would do that. I would be removed from school. I mean...
You'd be put into an asylum.
Yeah, you could potentially find a news article on the scary kid from Milford that did this. But anyway, it was a different era back then, and I really was just trying to be funny.
Did your parents think that was normal?
They thought it was funny too.
Oh, okay. They thought it was. Okay.
I thought you were like...
I was waiting for when the hammer was going to get dropped.
No, like I wrote the thing, and in my mind, I was probably your age. In my mind, it was relatively harmless because I would have never actually done it, and there was no. But I was just trying to think of an outrageous thing to do. It does sound sick now.
It does.
It's like the thing that Jeffrey Dahmer wrote. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Dave wrote the same thing.
If Jeffrey Dahmer wrote that, you would say it made sense.
Yeah, like,
and if you turned out to be
the signs were everywhere.
If you turned out to be some sort of crazy murderer, people would be like, well, he did write that story about drowning a cat.
And he does have a cat now, as we all know. Has anyone checked on that cat? No. Fast forward, let's say lots of years. I've spent $3,000 keeping my cat alive. So
yes,
I'm on the total. I've found the opposite.
Cat's drowning you.
Yeah, I found the opposite side of that spectrum.
So, all right. Stevie, would you like to read today's reading?
So you have not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves. Instead, you received God's Spirit when he adopted you as his own children. Now we call him Abba, Father. For his Spirit joins with our spirit to affirm that we are God's children. And since we are his children, we are his heirs. And in fact, together with Christ, we are heirs of God's glory. But if we are to share his glory, we must also share his suffering.
Interesting.
The end.
Now, you said that you thought this would be a good one to run past my dad. What aspect of this did you think would be excellent for that?
Well,
what did you think he would like about it?
Well, what's interesting is this is the passage that talks about calling God like Daddy.
Yeah,
Abba, Father, and so I thought it would be interesting to see a father and son go through this passage.
I see.
And so I initially pictured, because your dad will be on the show, I pictured your dad doing this.
Me and my dad being the father-son duo.
Yes.
Instead, it's you and Stevie as the father-son duo.
And so, yeah, it didn't occur to me that it might be Stevie and I that would be doing the father-son. So, so it's interesting to me that this is where Paul is explaining that we are supposed to treat God as if he is a father, but not even just a father. It's a father, and you're sort of a little child.
Yes.
So when was the last? What do you call me?
Father.
Father. What else do you
I've never heard you call him father.
Well, I do.
He does sometimes.
Oh, he does?
I just come down and I go, Father, come here. Dad.
Dad. What do the girls call me?
Daddy.
Daddy. Was there a time in your life where you called me Daddy?
No. Never. We went from Dada to Dad real fast.
Oh, okay. So you did call me Dada. So this is equivalent to Dada.
Okay.
It's a young child's response to a father. It reminds me of this Abba Father idea that we are now adopted children of God. So when you become a believer, you're not only my son, and you called me Daddy way beyond what you would remember, first of all, and but this idea is that we are supposed to treat God like little children.
You did, child.
In that way, right? As adopted children.
Yeah, I think...
Or that's how I understood it.
I think that's great. And the reason why he's saying it is to contrast when we're talking about now that we have the Holy Spirit in us. It says you've not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves. Instead, you received God's Spirit when he adopted you as his own children. Now we call him Abba Father. And I've always heard people talk about, well, that's like daddy. That's like what the little kid says. It's so familiar. And I think that's good. But like from my point of view and Stevie's point of view, we don't call our fathers daddy anymore. And so do you think it's saying we need to regress? I mean, because I think of it as saying you're not a slave to a spirit that is a big scary guy. He's your dad. And so it almost seems like that Abba Father, it's like, yeah, it's relating as a small child because that's how familiar a little baby is with their dad. And of course, extrapolate from that as you go, whatever it is you call your familiar father, the safe hopefully the safe relationship that you have. Imagine it's tough for some people who don't have a good relationship with their earthly father to see this as a positive. So it's almost like, well, we have to relate it to when you're a little baby, because the little baby doesn't have perhaps the angst of the earthly relationship that became later.
Yeah.
But if you have a good relationship with your dad, it's like you can approach the throne and God with as much security and familiarity as you would with your own dad. Does that make...
Yeah.
Because I've heard pastors say, it's like calling him daddy and things. And that makes it hard for me, because I'm like, well, I don't call anybody daddy. And so it's hard for me now to be praying, hallowed be your name, daddy. It's like... And I've heard pastors, when they pray, I've heard pastors pray using daddy in the prayer. And to me, it sounds strange. It bothers me when they do that. It's like, all right.
Yeah, and I can see that.
Just say father.
Just say dad.
Yeah.
You know,
Father.
I don't know. Father's fine. I
Creator.
don't call my dad father. Father sounds like it's
Too formal.
that sounds too formal. You know, father means I'm acknowledging your position, whereas dad is I'm also acknowledging his position, but that's when
it's
he
a
calls.
familiar.
Yeah, when he calls, I'm like, "Hey, Dad." I'm not saying, "Oh, hi, Father."
When you're about to be disciplined, you say father.
Yeah, when I'm about to be disciplined, I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I go, Father, have mercy on my soul.
And does he ever?
No.
Not
Never.
once. No. Man, dads are so harsh, man,
know.
aren't they?
I know.
It's like,
You guys want me to leave?
you can't get away with anything. Every time you do something that he doesn't like, he's upset.
Yes.
Man,
It hurts.
I feel you, man.
Yeah.
Maybe just try doing what he wants once in a while.
That'd
I
be
spun
too
it around
hard.
on you, didn't I?
That'd be too hard.
Now, it is what you don't realize, or at least I didn't realize when I was a kid, is how much my dad was in my corner. I always saw the daily stuff was, I didn't clean my room when I was supposed to, Dad's annoyed. I make a mess, Dad's annoyed. Dad finds out I did something bad at school, Dad's annoyed. Like, Dad was always correcting me, and it was always the time when I needed to be corrected was when what he wanted and what I wanted were different. So as a kid, you just think, man, this guy, I mean, he's the oldest and he runs the family. So, I mean, it's his way or the highway. And so I need to conform to that, which is true. But what I didn't realize was how much everything that he was doing was because he wanted me to have the tools necessary to be successful. And all those little micro things was to help me learn. I needed all those corrections because I'm a kid. I don't know. I'm just doing whatever I want. But I didn't know anything. But Dad can look and say, my son has these things he needs to get better at and needs to improve because it's going to benefit him in life. And I had a brother that was wanting to move out of the house. He was frustrated. He had turned 18 and he was ready to leave the house because he didn't want to have to deal with a curfew, didn't want to have to deal with, and he's got older brothers that he can go hang out with and they can help him, with getting established in life, and he can leave Dad behind. Dad didn't want him to go. And so he called me up and he's like, what do you think I should do? Because I really want to go.
Yeah, give me a reason why I should go.
Right. So Michael's offering me this. You're in California. Have you got a better offer? But, and what I told him is I said, look, you think of you're still a kid. In your mind, you're still a kid. You're still thinking about it like Dad is just doing this because it's what he wants. It's like, what you need to do is say, Dad, if you want me to stay at home, what do I have to look forward to? What should I do then? Like, ask Dad's advice. Instead of just doing what you want to do, trying to appease him, why don't you flip it? Go to Dad and say, what should I do? And see if he has an answer. And sure enough, I was like, there's nobody better than your dad in your corner, because Dad will fight harder for you than he will for himself. And my dad helped him find his vision of being a pilot, got him into getting some of his basic hours in.
Wait, so your brother's a pilot and
Yep.
your dad's a...
And a year later, my brother wanted to run to Texas, and my brother said, okay, fine, I'll talk to Dad and see what Dad wants me to do. So he said, all right, I won't go to Texas, Dad. What should I do? Dad said, what do you want to do? And he wanted to be a pilot, so they started down this road. And 1 year later, my dad is helping him get to a school in Texas. Oddly enough, the school that they found, the best possible school, ended up being in Texas. Now he's halfway done his program. He's already a pilot. And he ended up moving 20 minutes away from my brother that he wanted to run away to. Only now he's on his path to becoming a full-time pilot, and he loves every minute of it. His whole college is waking up and spending hours in the air. And so it's like my dad wasn't saying, don't go to Texas, because he didn't want anything that Isaac wanted to do. He just said, you're going to go to Texas, and that's a waste. It's not profitable. You're just going to get away and have fun. But when Isaac said, all right, Dad, what should I do? It ended up that 1 year later, my dad's now excited about him going to the same place, close to the same brother. But now he's going on his own terms, and he's doing something that he loves. So it's just kind of God is like that too, where the Holy Spirit is constantly correcting us and showing us where we're out of bounds. And if you look at the Bible from outside of that relationship, and you're like, oh man, the Bible sure is strict. It always wants me to live perfect. It's like, yeah, it wants you to live perfect.
Of course it does.
But there's a relationship in there, and the relationship should not be fearful. It should be like, instead of trying to fight and doing what you want to do and seeing the Bible as the brackets you have to kind of go around, this is saying we can turn to God as familiar as our own dad and be like, all right, Dad, I get that you don't want me to do those things. I won't do it. What should I do? And he's going to be like, sure, all these things, the world is up to you. He doesn't want to take it away. And just like Isaac, Dad didn't want to limit Isaac's opportunity. He wanted to maximize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've experienced that, I think, a little bit. That'll make noise when you're doing that.
Okay.
But you've experienced that as well. Yeah.
Yes.
That's better.
So you're not, you're grounded from screen time sometimes, or you're limited in screen time. But then you've been interested in developing apps,
mm-hmm.
and I've been encouraging of that, right?
Yes.
And so, so it's like, yes, I'm grounded from maybe a computer, but then you want to
But
start
can
working
I use the computer
to
to
develop
make
something that you want. And
computer?
so when we join together, and so it's not that you're just playing video games, or
I'm creating video games to play them.
potentially, yeah. And it says, now we call him Abba Father, for his spirit joins our spirit to affirm that we are God's children. So it's like your goals have merged together, and you're affirming each other, or maybe the Spirit is affirming us, would be a better way to say it. And then, since we're his children, we are his heirs. So we're getting that salvation through God, and we're getting all of his gifts. In fact, together with Christ, we are his heirs of God's glory. So we're getting to share sometime in the future, and partially now, we're getting to experience his glory. It's like when
Winning a meme competition, and you were helping me.
Yeah, winning a meme competition.
Did we just find out that your dad actually?
No,
won the
he
meme
didn't help me at
I
all.
didn't help him. I did laugh at. I reviewed them. They
He
were
laughed
funny.
at them.
Here, come a little closer. I think you're getting out of frame. But you have Isaac, now that he's coming together with your dad and in the same common goal, he's also sharing in your dad's glory, right? Like they're together, they have the same goals. And this is the scary part. We must also share in his suffering. And as Christians, we are called to suffer at times, just as Christ suffered on the cross, and just as Christ suffered while he was living here. It's all part of the same package. We're struggling together. We don't serve a God who hasn't experienced suffering. We have. It's like if you have a parent that disciplines you, it's not like that parent had never been disciplined in their life. We have a God that is suffering alongside of us, and that's an amazing thing. And I think that's a point that a lot of people just miss. They think, Christians are judgmental, or Christians, that's a distasteful thing. But I think that's where you really start to understand that no, God allowed himself to come to earth to actually be a human in all the ways that being a human is hard. God did that for us, and he's experienced that, and he can be a father that we can look to and see as someone that has gone through what we have. And I just think that's great.
Just a random off-topic question. If you're perfect, can you be better at, like, playing sports or something? Are you perfect in, like, a spiritual way? Like, you're not rude? Or are you perfect in all ways that, like, you can't be better at anything and you'll always be the best or always be equal to everything?
So I had this thought when I was in high school, and
Beat you to it.
And if you are someone who is genuinely serving the Lord, and you are genuinely committed to Christ and living in a way that is a excellent example to others, if you are somebody who is not falling to temptation where every one of your classmates might be, people will notice that there is something different about you.
Yeah.
So you might not be able to, you said, are you better at sports? You might not be able to make more baskets on the basketball court than somebody else because your life is close with God, but everything about who you are and the way your spirit connects with people around you is going to be different than other people. People are going to take notice. And as you go through life, almost everything that happens is going to be a consequence of how your relationships are. If you are really good with people and people are drawn to you because you're so generous and you genuinely love the people around you, you recognize them that God created them, and so God loves them, so I'm going to love them. And you're just a real joy to be around, and you're contributing to everybody. Mm-hmm. Well, that is going to be a massive help when it comes to what kind of jobs you're going to find, what kind of people are willing to work with you, what kind of other men are going to follow you. If you have a vision and you say, I'm going to go that way, people are like, well, I'm going to go with him because this guy's a person of integrity and I can trust him. So not really necessarily sports, but what you'll find is if you are listening to the Spirit and you are following where God is leading you, you are going to find success in whatever that is. The Bible talks about fruit being multiplied 30, 60, 100 times. Like your life is going to just be successful in every aspect. Yeah. And so in a sense, the answer is actually yes, because if basketball was your passion or if sports was your passion, you would be better at that with God on your side than not. If being a creative writer is your passion, you're going to have better, more creative, more interesting and original ideas tapped into the Spirit than you would be just following your own sinful flesh like everybody else. You're going to create the same kind of material that the bad kids or the good kids or the whatever you're going to follow the same track. You're going to make the same kind of videos. You're going to make, but if you've got the person who created you, who knows you better than you know yourself or anyone else, he's going to tell you, hey, you should do this. And you'll be able to do things that are actually original. That's only you. And that's what's exciting. So, yeah, just like Isaac, he wanted to go to Texas and Dad said no. Rather than disobey, he said, all right, Dad, what should I do? And a year later, Dad sent him to Texas. But under a completely different sphere. And so today, if Isaac had made that decision to disobey, he would be actually in almost the exact same location. But his life would be completely different. And so it's like, yeah, listening to your dad pays off in all areas. Yeah. And I know your dad very well. Your dad, the reason I can say this so confidently, I wouldn't say it to everybody else, is I know that your dad just thinks you're the bee's knees. I mean, he thinks you're awesome. And you guys have a good relationship, kind of like me and my dad did when I was that age, and Isaac. And I know that your dad's in your corner. You want to create apps, if you're after something that's good, and that's really your heart, you got the kind of dad that's actually going to push you in that direction. So take your licks. Don't look at your screen for a while. Do your homework. But stick to your dad, because that is going to benefit you hugely. It would have benefited me more if I was more like Isaac when I was a kid. Yeah. I can't give my own example. I got to go to my... I did run away. What do you want to be? Single and 40 with a bunk bed?
Yes.
No, you don't.
I want a bunk bed.
Well, everyone wants a bunk bed.
And I want to be 40.
Bunk beds are cool.
Everyone wants to be up to 40. Everyone will want to live to 40.
But here's the thing. The most fun years happen before 40.
Yeah, I'd say 10s to 20s.
Yeah, so.
Yes. I mean, I'd want to live up to 40.
Well, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're in pretty good shape. I think there's about a 60% chance you will.
60.
At least 60.
At
it's
least.
more than half.
More than half.
Yeah, it just depends on if the go-karts you ride actually stay together.
Yes.
Because if major implements of motorized vehicles that you get into are always coming apart
and rolling,
it hurts the percentage on whether or not you'll make it to 40.
All true.
But
I've also rolled a 4-wheeler a couple times.
Well, you're lucky to still be here at all.
Probably shouldn't say that because my grandma's watching this.
Well, we won't tell Grandma.
She's watching it.
All right, we'll keep this all between just us.
We'll keep
this
that
will be our little secret.
Yeah, today's lesson was brought to you by what you should and should not put on the internet forever.
So did you enjoy that?
Yes.
Good.
Felt like a really long lecture, though.
That was the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're just sitting here. I'm not allowed to move.
Well,
you moved plenty.
Yeah, I moved.